Thank you for tuning in to Listening with Lindy Lee. We have a very special guest today. It's a tremendous honor to have with us David Cohen. Thank you so much, David.
Lindy, thanks for inviting me, and welcome to the Comcast Center in our newly renovated studio.
Isn't it beautiful?
It is gorgeous.
We'd be here all day if I were to list out all of your accomplishments. Suffice it to say that you currently serve as Senior Executive Vice President and Chief Diversity Officer of Comcast. Prior to Comcast, you were a partner and chair of Ballard Spahr, one of America's largest law firms. Ever the overachiever, you also serve as chair of the Board of Trustees at the University of Pennsylvania. In the 90s, you were chief of staff to the mayor of Philadelphia. And we have only just begun scratching the surface of everything that you are.
So you can always look at everything in a good way or a less good way. My parents might say that I never figured out how to hold a job.
Well, there you go. You've done an amazing job, and I think many of us have a lot to learn from you. And so you graduated from Swarthmore and then went to Penn Law and graduated summa cum laude. They called you Chief Justice Cohen. You've accomplished so much over the years. How have you been able to do all of that?
Well, first of all, I appreciate the nice comments, and I think like anyone else, there's a complicated set of attributes that drives me to do whatever it is that I do. So the two that I think I would point out in response to that question are, first of all, I've always believed in working hard. I think people who work hard generally tend to advance and succeed more than people who don't work hard. But the most important attribute that I point to for success are the great mentors that I've had the opportunity to work with and the great teams that I've had an opportunity to work with. I talk a lot about leadership, and it may be counterintuitive, but I believe that the best leaders are people who can attract great teams to work with them. And leadership is not about doing everything yourself. In fact, I think that's not a very good leadership attribute. Leadership is about attracting terrific talent and weaving that talent into a seamless and effective team and taking advantage of the collaboration of that team and the team effort, sharing credit as well as responsibility, delegating, and then moving the organization, the program forward as a result of tremendous teamwork.
Right. Well, you also deserve a lot of credit yourself for your vision and leadership. And last year, you were kind enough to visit my alma mater, Princeton University, and you took time out of your busy schedule to mentor young.
You made me an honorary member of your class,
I did.
Which was really nice.
And sorry for any emails that you may be getting from me. I think you're on the email class listserv now. But I was always so grateful to see how much time and how much you invested in the next generation. Why is it important for you to cultivate the younger Americans?
Well, again, complicated, multiple answers to that question, but I think I start from the fundamental truth that the future of our company, the future of Philadelphia, the future of Pennsylvania, the future of the country is with the young people who are living here, are studying here, are thinking about working here. And so I struggle finding a more valuable task to be involved in than getting to know young people and helping to counsel them and talk about my career and what I've done in my life, and try and give them encouragement as they think about what they want to do for their careers and as they begin to pursue their careers. So I love going to college campuses. My visit to Princeton was fantastic. Obviously, everyone in that, and we sort of had a roundtable discussion, and everyone in that room, everyone at Princeton is very bright. And it's just, it's intellectually challenging and interesting to sort of hear what's on young people's minds. And it was really fun to engage with them and hopefully to leave them knowing more about the business world and more about Comcast. And we even talked about politics a little bit.
You did.
And so I think that's a responsibility that all of us in the next generation have, to be able to engage with the up and coming young people in our country and to share whatever wisdom we may have developed and included in that wisdom, or whatever mistakes we might have made, and to try and bring the next generation along.
Absolutely. And how has your time serving as a chair of the Board of Trustees at the University of Pennsylvania shaped your understanding of this?
Well, as you pointed out, and thank you for not boring the audience with all of my
we could go on and on.
extracurricular activities, if you will. But chairing the trustees at Penn is, clearly a first among equals. Penn is an amazing institution in this town. I think, sometimes we don't appreciate how important Penn is until we need something at Penn. So until you have a relative who has a child who wants to get into Penn, maybe more seriously, until you have a relative or a friend who needs to take advantage of the incredible patient care that exists at Penn Medicine. But Penn is the largest private sector employer in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. It is certainly one of the major purchaser of services and products in Pennsylvania, and it's a real economic engine for Philadelphia and for Pennsylvania. And it's just a privilege to be associated with the university. One of the side benefits of that association is the opportunity to interact with faculty. And I don't use this word lightly, but Penn just has a brilliant faculty. Princeton has a brilliant faculty also, but Penn is so much larger. The faculty is so much larger, and when you look at the quality of the faculty, the quality of the physicians, the quality of the medical researchers that all are working and are resident at the University of Pennsylvania, it's awe-inspiring. And along with that faculty is the most amazing student body that you can imagine. And when we organize our trustee meetings, I always tell the secretary of the university, who's responsible for that organization, that if you want to have a fantastic meeting, let's just make sure we have multiple opportunities for the trustees to interact with the faculty, and even better with students.
Oh, wow.
Because that's just a reminder of why we're all engaged at Penn to support the tremendous academic work, the medical research and patient care, and to support the incredible students who matriculate at Penn, undergraduate, graduate, and the professional schools. So it's intellectually invigorating, and it's incredibly rewarding to see the impact that this university is having on thousands of young people, and even broader than that, on the community in Philadelphia, the community in Pennsylvania, community in the United States, and the community in the world.
They probably feel incredibly fortunate to count you as an alumni.
Well, some of them may feel that way. I also get picketed every once in a while by some of the students. They may not love our position, for example, on net neutrality, and we're on climate change. But I have to say, even when we disagree, the students have always been respectful. There's a part of me that sort of enjoys the intellectual sparring with really smart young people who are incredibly devoted to a cause, even if I don't agree with that cause.
I think it's a testament to your graciousness and open-mindedness that you include the students in the discussion, even if they happen to disagree with you. Right?
Well, look, that's what academic freedom and the academic environment is all about. And you always have to keep your head screwed on straight that academic institutions don't exist to promote themselves as institutions. Our job is to educate the next generation, to prepare the next generation for being productive members of society. And if you're going to have an intellectual purity test as a permission structure for the students to engage in debate and dialogue, you're not going to have a very high quality institution of academic learning. And so I'm very proud of Penn's protection of academic freedom, and I'm proud of President Gutman's and her entire staff, the deans, the faculty, the provost, the trustees, for understanding that part of academic freedom and part of the academic environment is giving everyone an opportunity to speak, whether you agree with what they're saying or not. And Alan Dershowitz once said, in a potential academic freedom dispute at Penn, and I think he's absolutely right, which is everyone will want to say that they're for academic freedom and freedom of speech. It only gets hard when you don't like the speech. But it's when you don't like the speech that it's even more important that you protect the freedom of the people who want to speak that speech. And I think Penn has done a great job of protecting academic freedom, even protecting the freedom of faculty and students to speak when I don't agree personally, or Amy Gutman doesn't agree personally, or Wendell Pritchett, as the provost, doesn't agree personally with the content of the speech that's being delivered.
Well, it's a powerful thing that you recognize that, coming from where you stand.
Right.
Well, we live in a shifting landscape on many different fronts, including in the media industry. Where do you see Comcast in a world that is increasingly dominated by the likes of Netflix and HBO, for instance?
Right. So I love our position as a company. We're a diversified company between distribution and content. Our acquisition of NBC Universal 7 years ago really put the icing on the cake in terms of developing an integrated, diversified media technology conglomerate. And so I love the position of our company today, and I'm not really worried about the position of our company 5 or 10 years from now. On the Comcast, I think the NBC Universal side almost speaks for itself. We're going to continue to produce great content in our film studios, our television studios, and air that content. We have our theme park division, which continues to grow. We are, our next big theme park will be our theme park in Beijing, China.
Oh, wow.
Which is a multi-billion-dollar investment to expand the international footprint of our theme parks. Our local stations are incredibly important, not only because they carry the NBC broadcast signal in prime time at night, on the weekends, et cetera, but because of the local news and the local content that they produce. And we've made major investments and have really driven the ratings up and across our entire footprint of owned local broadcast stations. Telemundo has really hit its stride, just coming off the televising of the World Cup, having the exclusive Spanish language rights for the World Cup in the United States. And when we bought Telemundo in 2011, it was a poor second to Univision in terms of the Spanish language networks in the United States. Univision had about 80% market share, and Telemundo had about 20%. For the past 6 months or so, Telemundo has consistently beaten Univision in prime
Congratulations.
time. And we basically are neck and neck now, with Telemundo slightly ahead for Spanish language network.
That's amazing.
So love our content story and love our ability to continue to expand and to grow content. On the Comcast cable side, I love our position. We're coming off a quarter where I think we surprised the street with our earnings. Higher revenues, higher cash flow, higher free cash flow than the street was expecting. One of the reasons for that is a shift in our business that we've made over the last couple of years toward what we call connectivity. And it's both connectivity through high-speed data, but it's also because our vision statement is that we want to connect people to the content and the moments that they love and that they want to watch. And so we're not giving up on video when we say we have a new focus on connectivity and our high-speed data business. We love our X1 platform. About 60% of our households are now connected to X1. For anyone who's tried it, they all agree that the voice remote has changed the way that they watch television. So to give you a scary statistic, we are now running over 500 million voice commands a month across our network. And in fact, in the last quarter, we had almost 2 billion voice commands through the Comcast voice remote.
Wow.
So just think about that. That doesn't
It's
sound,
mind-boggling.
doesn't sound like a dying business at all, because people still love their television. And of course, what we're doing with the X1 platform is trying to become the aggregator of aggregators for video content and for other apps. So we have integrated Netflix into the X1 platform. So we never looked at Netflix as a competitor per se. It might be a frenemy. Certainly, our high-speed data platform helps to empower the growth of Netflix, and Netflix has helped to empower the growth of our high-speed data program. So now, Netflix is on the X1, so you can use the voice remote to search for and play Netflix programming. You don't have to do those clumsy switching of A/B switches or go to your Blu-ray DVD player and find Netflix in the Blu-ray DVD player and then play it on your TV screen. You can now do this all through your X1 experience. We've added YouTube and integrated it into the X1 platform. We have Pandora in the X1 platform. So we're making that platform a destination for people to access their video content, their photos, their music, and there'll be more announcements to come.
We're going to be waiting with bated breath. So obviously Comcast has a brilliant and bright future. What about yourself? Where do you see yourself in 5 to 10 years?
So if I've learned anything in my career, it's to be careful about those kinds of predictions. But my best guess, and I'd be very surprised if we're anywhere else, that at least for the next 5 years and probably for the next 10 years, I'm going to be right where I am. I found a job that I love, as with all of my jobs, but with a boss that I respect. I mean, I think Brian Roberts is the best CEO in corporate America, and he's my boss, but he's my friend, and it is fantastic to work with him and the rest of the senior team every day at this company. And I've, again, had the fortune of having great teams here across my broad spectrum of responsibilities, and I love working with them every day. And as you heard from my last answer, I'm excited about the future of the company. I'm excited about the people here. And right now, I can't imagine that I would want to be anywhere else.
Wow, that's a wonderful answer. And every time I speak with you, even if it's just a casual conversation or during an interview or a seminar, I'm just deeply inspired by your story, and it eggs me on to be better and to improve myself. And
well, Lindy, you've done pretty well for yourself at a relatively young age, so I think you can look forward to a fantastic future too.
Oh no, I still obviously have a lot of work to do. And for younger listeners and watchers, what advice would you give them to, if someone is interested in following in your footsteps, how can they be the second David Cohen? So
my tongue-in-cheek response is be careful what you wish for. I note, and it's tongue-in-cheek, but I note that I frequently have auctioned off, like a day with David Cohen. And
I'd be up for that.
But the auction winners invariably talked to Jennifer, my assistant, afterward and said, how does he do that? I'm exhausted. I'm going to have to take off 2 days to recover from doing that. That's my tongue-in-cheek response. My serious response is
Let me know about future auctions, by the way.
Okay. My serious response is that I didn't plan my career this way. I mean, I really thought I'd be a lawyer for my whole career. I loved practicing at Ballard Spahr. Many of my best friends are still at Ballard Spahr. So the secret to my success, if it has been success, is to be flexible, to keep my eyes and ears open, be open to doing different things, even if they didn't fit into an original life plan that I may have established for myself. I think a lot of people look at me and say, well, he must have had this all planned out. And the answer is I didn't have it all planned out, but I was always willing to look and to say, is this something I would like to do? Maybe take some chances. I mean, when I left Ballard Spahr to go into the city government, most of my friends, and certainly my parents, thought I had taken leave of my senses. I mean, why would I give up what was a fantastic law practice at a great law firm and go into what at the time was generally viewed as a cesspool of city government where you couldn't possibly make any difference because all of these bad practices were so embedded in the system. And what do they find out? That first of all, it wasn't a cesspool, and second of all, you could easily make a difference because there's so many people in the city government.
And they wrote a book about you.
It's not about me.
Well,
but
about the work that you did.
About the work. But so many people in city government, it's just as true today, are passionate about doing a good job and are just looking for leadership and ideas and are willing to throw out the practices of the last 10, 20, or 30 years to make a difference. And I think that the bulk of city government employees don't get enough credit for the role that they played under Ed Rendell's leadership in turning the Philadelphia city government around.
Thank you so much for your leadership, not only at Comcast, but throughout Philadelphia and Pennsylvania. It's hard to imagine Philadelphia without David Cohen.
Well, thank you. Nice of you to say. And again, thanks for coming in and christening our new studio.
Oh, it's such an honor, and thank you
Great.
so much.
Thanks, Lindy.
Thank you for tuning in to another segment of Listening with Lindy Lee. We were honored to have David Cohen with us today. He is the Senior Executive Vice President and Chief Diversity Officer of Comcast. Thank you so much for your time. Have a great day.
You are watching Radnor Studio 21, an arts, educational, and entertainment station proudly serving the main line and greater surrounding area.